Welcome back to D3, Dominici's Discussions and Debates. I'm your host, Dominici Lapierre. Today is October 31st, 2025, and joining me is Aurelia Leerkes from Ticonderoga, New York. Aurelia is a junior here at VTSU Castleton, the SGA Student Government Association President, the former Campus Activities Board Secretary, and the designated resident assistant of the third floor of Hoff Hall. Thank you so much for being here with me. I'm really excited to chat with you. So, to start, last episode I had Justice, who's from Hawaii, and that's obviously very different from Castleton, Vermont. But you're from Ticonderoga, and they're not exactly the same, but they're very similar, obviously, climate-wise. I believe it's, only 45 minutes away-ish?
Yeah, only 45 minutes away.
So, what do you notice? Are they very similar culturally, socially?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Ticonderoga is also a very small town. So I'm used to the small town environment, and actually there's more going on in Castleton than there is in Ticonderoga. Rutland's only 20 minutes away from here, whereas if I wanted to go do anything in I would have to drive an hour.
Where would that be?
To Glens Falls, Queensbury, or I could go Middlebury. Burlington is a little bit farther, but yeah. So which I personally like. I think that it can make for full day events if I want to go do something, but yeah, I grew up, I came to sports camps here when I was younger. I did the softball clinics that they would do, so I was very familiar with the campus, and then I'm an education major, and I knew a lot of teachers who went here as well, so I was very familiar with the campus. I like only being 45 minutes away from home, very family oriented, so I like that if my siblings have a big sporting event or a birthday or any sort of big event in their lives, I can go home and be there with them for it. That's something I really enjoy, but yeah, not too different, so I like it here a lot.
How many siblings do you have?
I have 3. So I have an older sister, a younger brother, and a younger sister.
What are their names?
Older sister, Lorelai. Younger brother is Brady, and younger sister is Lily.
Okay, so you ended up with the coolest name.
Yeah. Lily has a cool middle name, though. It's Rhiannon. So
that is my mother's name.
Really?
I'm serious. How is it spelled?
The same way the Fleetwood Mac song is.
Oh,
that's
my mother was named after that song.
Really? So it's that's
serious.
where my mom got her middle name.
At least once or twice a week at wrestling practice here, I have them play Rhiannon on the loudspeaker for me.
It's just such a good song.
No,
Fleetwood
I
Mac
agree.
is so good.
I think I only like it though because I think of my mom when I listen to it.
That's sweet.
But yeah, my mom spells it Reannon. So I guess they wanted to give her a little bit of originality there. 1 second, sorry.
Yeah,
basically, I also heard you did a lot of activities growing up.
Mm-hmm.
You were a softball player, a basketball player, and you did dance, if I'm correct.
Yes, I did.
Which of these do you miss the most?
That's really hard to say. When I was younger, I'd say that basketball was my favorite, but as I get older, I'd say I miss dance the most. I think that I did a bunch of different types, so I did hard shoe Irish dance and tap. But then I also did point ballet and jazz. So those are very different. So I got to express myself in very different ways. So I'd say I probably missed that the most.
What positions were you playing in basketball and softball?
Softball, I used to be a catcher, and then I had a lot of knee problems growing up. I had surgery on my knee when I was 15.
Mm-hmm.
So I played left field and second base. They kind of moved me around wherever they needed me. And then for basketball, I would either be a point guard or a wing player. They used to have me at post when I was younger just because I grew fast. But then when I stopped growing, they were like, oh, she can dribble the ball. So they put me
Was that all for Ty? That was all for Ticonderoga?
Yeah, so I went to a very small private Catholic school until I was in 8th grade called St. Mary's. So I played I played for the 5th and 6th grade team, and then as a 6th grader, I also played for the 7th and 8th grade team.
Oh, you got bumped up early.
Yeah, I played for both. I didn't get bumped up, but my parents were the coaches of both, and they
Okay.
just needed extra players,
Word.
so they were like, "You're here anyway. You're gonna play."
because it was a smaller school.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I would do summer basketball with Ty, and then when I got to high school, I played on varsity my freshman year.
Was that fun, or was that kind of a adjustment?
It was a big adjustment. I think I wouldn't have gotten through it if my sister wasn't also on the team. I was very scared. Especially because I had just gotten to the high school as well. Like, I wasn't fully used to being in a larger group of people, and then I got pulled up, and I didn't really know anyone. Well, I knew them because they were, like, my sister's friends in a way, but I felt very out of place. But I'm glad that I had that experience. Like, the coaches were great. Like, it was so much fun, but it was a lot in the moment, for
This
sure.
is kind of a trivial question, but which would you say you were the best at, regardless of how you interpreted them? Out of all the things you did, what was really, like, your specialty? Like, you were, performing the best at?
I'd say basketball. I think I spent the most time doing that. Softball, I enjoyed, but it wasn't my favorite. Like, I also played for a summer league and, like, did the camps and everything, but I also used to go to basketball camps, and, like, I was just playing basketball all the time. So I really enjoyed that.
Like travel?
Yeah, I did. I played on an AAU team. I played for, even when I was, like, in 7th and 8th grade, like, I was playing for the AAU team, which was, like, 7th and 8th graders all the way up to, like, seniors in high school. It was, like, the Lachute Shooters was the name of it, and our coach, Jay, is, like, the best guy ever. I still see him every once in a while, and he's so friendly and nice. It was just, like, being on that team was my favorite. Whenever he would get mad, he would, like, clap really loud instead of, like, screaming. So, like, every once in a while from the bench, you would just hear him, like, really loudly clap when saying someone's name, and you knew that he was mad.
Yeah, I do that sometimes.
Yeah.
There's a video of me this summer, and we went to an off-season tournament, and and it's hard to explain to people who don't know wrestling, but in season we do a thing called folk style. Out of season, we do styles called Greco-Roman wrestling and freestyle. And I was wrestling this really good guy from Western New England College, and he was ranked, like, 5th in our region. He was really good, but basically when I scored, like, a big point and I clapped on him, like, I was clapping really loud, and I was looking back at the film, and then every time he would score the rest of the time, he would just clap back, and then it just turned into us basically giving each other a round of applause for 10 minutes. And I mean, I liked him. We chatted after, but looking back, I was cracking myself up. And I mean, when you're in it, you're in it. Man.
Yeah.
It's intense. This might be kind of a trivial question, but they told me that you're a very avid fan of The Sims. Are you a gamer?
I literally only played Sims, really. I grew up, like, with... I played, like, Wii Sports growing up, and then...
That's a good poll.
Bowling, that's my thing. Like, the Wii Sports, like, tennis, I loved the tennis one. But growing up more, I did, like... We had our Xbox 360. I played, like, the Lego Marvel game.
That is fire.
That was so much fun. And, like, the Legos all
good.
Of the, like, Lego video games. We had Harry Potter. We had, like, the Marvel.
Indiana Jones. Batman. You could go down the whole list. They're all fire.
Those were good.
Star Wars. Oh, my
Star Wars
Lord.
was good, yes. But I don't really game beside, like, now. I literally just play The Sims, and it consumes most of my life. I literally watch, like, YouTube videos of people building houses on The Sims, and it, like, calms me down. Like, if I just need to watch something to fill up time, I watch, like, their names are Karen and Connie, and they just build houses on The Sims.
Shout out to Karen and Connie,
Shout out Karen and Connie. Like, I watch them, and I play The Sims, and that's, like, I am so content for, like, hours doing that.
That's not a problem at all. I mean, I know a lot of guys, like, I know a lot of guys. I'm 20, and we're all... the youngest guys on the team are 17, 18.
Yeah.
I know guys who still play Fortnite, watch Fortnite.
Yeah.
I know there's a guy on the team, I won't name drop him to embarrass him, but we make fun of him sometimes because he'll sit down and he'll hop on Fortnite with his dad, and there's no problem. It's sweet.
That's
it's awesome.
so sweet.
But, I'll say hi in the morning, I'll stop by their dorm, I'll come back in the evening, but he's still on Fortnite playing with his dad, so there's no problem with that.
My freshman year, I would hang out in this, like, this one group's, like, room, and it would be, like, me and, like, a couple of my friends, and they would just play Fortnite. And I've never played Fortnite, so I would just, like, sit on the bed and watch them, like, crash out about Fortnite, like, so hard.
No, it's
But
tough.
it's just, like, my brother still plays it. Shout out my brother.
How old is he now?
He's gonna... Oh, he already turned 18. That's crazy. He's 18
think about
now.
it.
Yeah, he's so old now. That's so sad. He's
old.
just, like, still, like, my baby brother. He's still, like, 10 years old in my brain.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's 18.
No, that's
Crazy.
real. My little sister's 16 now, and they were talking about her getting her license or doing something, and I was like, what are you guys talking about? We have like 2 years. And
she's like 12.
Literally, and my family's like, are you serious? She's been 16 for half a year. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh. Like, no. But yeah, Sims takes up a big part of my life. I rage quit The Sims a lot, though. Because they, like, don't do what I tell them to do. And then, like, or when you have, like, when there's a baby on The Sims, the babies make me so mad. But yeah, I have like expansion packs. I like, whenever I get money, it goes to a new expansion pack on The Sims.
That's my problem with The Sims, is if you look, I saw a list of the video games with the top amount of DLC. Sims is always top 3. They have so much. Just drop it in the game. You're charging a $50 game. Put it in the game. Put the stuff. Why am I paying to like have the DLC to diamond for each pack of color in my house for red paint, the blue paint DLC?
I just bought the horse ranch pack, so now my Sims can have horses. I'm really excited about that.
Whatever floats your boat. You're an adult now. If that's what's bringing you joy, no shame in it, man. Seriously.
I mean, it's my favorite.
To transition, you are a double major, correct?
Yes.
In what was it, high or secondary ed and English.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming you want to be a high school teacher to some degree.
Yes.
I'm assuming you want to be a high school English teacher.
Yes.
Where were you thinking about looking, New York or Vermont?
I really want to get my master's out of New York. Also getting it, like my master's in New York and my certification in New York, it opens the doors to work in basically any state, because New York is one of the like tougher schooling when it comes to education.
Also in California,
so, like,
yeah. I'm also from New York.
Yeah, so if I get certified in Vermont and then ended up wanting to work in New York, I would have to like take exams to like pass to get like also certified in New York as well. So if I do it in New York, I kind of have freedom to go wherever. But long term, I would like to end up in upstate New York. Again, I really like the area. I think it's very beautiful. Like growing up in the Adirondacks, like I can't imagine living outside of the Adirondacks because of just how beautiful and like everything it is, and I really like being near my family. Right. So yeah, I would like to end up there, but I'm not like stuck on the idea that is where I need to end
I've never heard of the Adirondacks.
Really?
No, I'm playing. I'm from Tucson.
I was like, you're from New York and you've never heard of the Adirondacks?
No, I'm from the Adirondacks
No
too.
hate, but
I'm
like...
from near Plattsburgh.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so we're right in the middle of the Adirondacks. That's like, and I never understood till I came here why it was such a big deal. I hear it so much. I see people drive around with like the ADK bumper stickers.
Yeah.
And I never realized until I left the Adirondacks what a big deal it was to people who are into like nature conservation, hunters, fishers. I have friends from Mass, Rhode Island who talk about the Adirondacks, and I guess to us, living in it, it's just a thing.
Yeah.
Well, I talked to Justice last episode, and he was talking about how, as someone from Hawaii, it's always just been Hawaii,
Yeah.
And then you come here, and everyone's like, "Oh, I would love to go there. I would love to be there," and then he's just sitting there like it's a place, it's a normal place with normal people.
Yeah,
but it kind of gets romanticized to a degree when you've never been there. But I can definitely see why. I don't think I take enough advantage of it. I really want to start hiking more and fishing more. I don't think I take enough advantage of it.
Yeah, I don't think I do either. I work on Lake George in like the summer.
Oh, that's awesome.
I work at a marina, like renting out boats, so that's like the best thing ever. But before working there, I think I also kind of took advantage of where I'm from, like, because I was just used to living on lake, not like I don't have a house on the lake, but like the beach being right there and being to
all the time
go out onto Lake George kind of whenever I want. And I do have a friend who has a house on the lake, so I would just be there all the time, like swimming and stuff. And Lake George is so beautiful and clean, like. So I definitely think until I started working there, I took advantage of that. And then you see all these people from out of state who are coming to visit the lake and are like, "You're so lucky to like live in such a beautiful place." And I'm like, you know what? I am. Like, what a lucky person I am.
So the game plan is to become a high school English teacher, go back to the Adirondacks. So once we get there, you get your classroom, you get your position, and you start formulating your curriculum. What literature and authors are you like, I'm definitely putting this in here?
So my high school English teacher growing up, he gave us a lot of like different types of stories. I really liked, this is a classic, but The Kite Runner. It is like such a beautiful and tragic story, and
Never
I think
heard of it.
it's so good. It's like very sad, but it's kind of eye-opening, and there's so many different like moments that can like cause emotion. And I'm a big like sappy romance reader and like stuff just for quick reads. Like I do that all summer, but like his class, like reading that book just opened my eyes to like how deep like a story can be. We also read, I can't remember the name of it, but it has a lot of like magical realism in it, and
Like fantasy?
not really. It's like a story about like an Native American like reservation,
Okay.
like
So like mystical.
yeah, and there was like just like there's this sense of magical realism throughout it with like this magical guitar and like stuff like that, but it's kind of in a way a metaphor, but also it's not written into the story as a metaphor. It's very much like there and present and real. But just stories like that with like different perspectives and like storylines, I think like I'm definitely open to looking into a bunch of different things, because that's my favorite thing about English and about reading, is that like you could read the same story as someone else and they could interpret it a completely different way. And like no one is necessarily right or wrong in how they interpreted the story. It's just because it's their perception of what's happening, and like it can be so eye-opening. Like my favorite thing in classes would just be to like read and then sit with the class and talk about what we thought and what we took from the story, and hearing all the different like perceptions of what we had just read. It's like my favorite thing, and I can't wait to like orchestrate that in a classroom.
Oh, okay. So that's gonna be a lot of how you do it. Is it's gonna be read and then try to and how do you plan on doing that? Because I notice a lot of times it's very hard, and sometimes you get lucky with kids who are very engaged, but sometimes it's really hard to convince 13 and 14-year-old boys. And I mean, I don't know how to phrase this, especially in a place like America, where I don't want to say we're self-consumed, but oftentimes I think due to the perception of our media and our culture, we don't understand things, or at least we don't understand the gravity of situations outside of where we exist. How would you kind of try to push that on to a bunch of immature, little boys and girls?
Yeah. I think so. Getting students to actually read the books that you're teaching and stuff can be very difficult. A very strict way that, again, my high school English teacher kind of did is he would assign us chapters and then give us verbal quizzes, like, in front of the class. Like, he would have flashcards with our names on them. He would, the tiniest detail, he would have a question on. And it, in the moment, was, like, horrible, and I would stress myself out about it, and I don't know necessarily that this is something that I would do. Maybe like reform it in a different way, because I know it caused a lot of students like anxiety around the class, and I don't want to be doing that to my students. But it did keep me accountable, and I think that taking his class like was the most I've ever learned in an English class, because he kept me so accountable. But I'd say that all students are going to be different, like even year to year, like the classrooms are going to be different, so the way that you have to teach has to evolve and change per the students that you have. And that's something that I'm really interested in doing, like getting to know the students, getting to know how they learn best, what they're interested in, and then seeing how we can expand that. I think that being very understanding and like getting to know your students on a different level of just like come in, sit down, do the work, leave, like, and I'll grade it, is so important. And I think that when you have a good relationship with your students, they're more likely to do the work because they like you and they want to do it because you're giving it to them. So I'd say like just getting to know the students individually and figuring out what works for them, and like if that means having to teach something a bunch of different ways for different students, like I'm fine doing that as long as the students feel comfortable and like want to learn in my classroom. Like that's
huge.
Yeah, like, and I think that the education classes that Castleton offers, like, or VTSU offers, because some of them are online, they teach you that in like so many ways, and I'm so lucky to go to a school where they do prioritize that, because not a lot of schools do. And I think that is just like,
well, yeah, teaching so much more than just the presentation of information.
Yeah,
so much more than just the presentation of information.
Absolutely.
I mean, the way you teach, like I took a sociology class, and I took it I started it, and then I learned that I had another class that already satisfied that requirement, and I was like, I should quit. This is a waste of time. I already have it required with Paul Derby. And then he started doing what you were talking about. He would give verbal quizzes. We read 1984, one of the best books I've ever read, by the way. It's probably my favorite book ever. And I was like, this guy's actually checking if I'm reading it. I don't need it. And I was like, I'll just stick it out. Changed my life. I absolutely loved the class. It completely changed the trajectory of my life. So I completely agree. I think that the style and the mannerisms and all the little things that a teacher does when they're teaching, it's so much more than just the presentation of information. And going off of that, what principles, values, ideals, however you would phrase it, are you trying to convey? Like, what are you trying to instill in these children through these specific choices of literature and through these specific choices of authors?
Yeah, I think that it's so important that individuals keep an open mind. There's so many different perspectives on things, and I think that as a country, when we become closed-minded to other people's opinions, that's when there's issues. Like, even if I'm so set in my opinion on something, whether it's a reading or like any sort of political view or an argument with a friend, even if I'm so set in my ways, I'm still going to hear out the other person and go into that with an open mind, because that's how you learn. If you're closed off in the way that you think, you're never going to learn anything, because you're just going to be like, that's wrong. And if you immediately think that something's wrong or you're uninterested, it's not going to transfer to your long-term memory, and you're gonna not going to remember that in the long run. So I'm definitely plan to preach keeping an open mind, and you may not agree with this now, and even after we learn it, you may not agree with it or find it interesting, but you're never going to get that chance if you are closed off to it. So I think that definitely keeping an open mind and being open to hearing other opinions is so important. Even outside of the classroom, in life, that's so important. So that's definitely something I want to be
No,
spreading.
Absolutely. And my ideology kind of is, how do you know you disagree if you can't fully comprehend it?
Yeah.
And it's every episode I somehow end up mentioning Charlie Kirk, but I 100% openly always will admit I bitch about Charlie Kirk a lot. I did not like his ideals, but I watched him. I sat down and I watched episodes of the Charlie Kirk show, because I didn't want to end up in a situation where I denounce something he said, and then someone hits me with well, what did he say exactly? Or what specifically? And then you can't answer, and then
you don't know.
Yeah, and then you don't, and that's where you start to border from strong-willed to ignorant. And I 100% agree with you. I think, and that's a very fine line between strong-willed and ignorant, and that's the difference. Is if you can articulate and you fully comprehend the other side, and you're still okay, this is not right, and you can reasonably articulate that, you're strong-willed. But if you can't articulate that, to me at least, that's when we start to hit ignorance.
Yeah, one of the things that I also did with this same English teacher, shout out him.
What was his name?
Mr. Lang.
Shout out Mr. Lang.
Shout out Mr. Lang. He was also my drama director. Love that man.
We love someone who can multitask.
Yeah, he was awesome. My favorite teacher I think I've ever had, because he challenged us in that way. He would have us write a lot of micro themes where it would be they say, I say papers, and it would be different topics. So he would be do one about media, do one about a specific issue that you find really interesting. So I did one about abortion, and then the next one I did about the How I Met Your Mother series finale. Very different things.
That's my wife, I'm sorry. That is actually my wife.
But the assignment would be you have to go find an article that has the opposite perspective as you, and you have to write about what they are saying. Okay. And you can't write it in a way of this person said this and they're wrong, because you have to write paragraphs about summarizing and going into detail about what this article is saying, and then in a separate paragraph, after fully reading that and comprehending what they're saying, rebuttal and be this is my opinion because, and then find an article that supports your opinion. But you have to go out and find the article that doesn't, that has a counterpoint of view, and you have to write about it. And I think that was like so beneficial. And I think that's when I started to become more open to hearing other perspectives, because like I'll admit when I was younger I was so set in my ways of like the way that I thought about things, and that I was just so like tuned out to hearing anything else. So that really opened my eyes, and I definitely would want to do papers like that with my students, depending on the age range that I get.
Well, that's a common theme with that age group, you know, when you're starting to develop and you're getting hormones and you get angry and you get angsty. I noticed that's a huge thing. And I'm still on Yik Yak all the time here in college. I see people posting, you know, I hate writing papers like I'm a liberal to get a good grade, or I hate writing papers that align with conservative ideology to get a good grade. And it's like, you're not necessarily, like, you're not becoming a liberal for half an hour. You're not becoming a conservative. You're acknowledging a separate ideology, which, you know, even when we talk about bad ideologies like fascism and Nazism, like, that's not a terrible thing to at least acknowledge and look at them. I mean, I'm not telling you to get your swastikas and sign off on crazy stuff, but to at least acknowledge, to me, doesn't always feel like a negative, terrible experience, you know? And I think that it's very refreshing to hear you, as someone who's going to be a teacher, hold these kind of beliefs and ideologies, because all the best teachers I've ever seen have those exact marks that you're hitting and say these, you know, exact things that you're saying.
Yeah.
And I think that that's also, it's such a passionate field, I noticed, teaching. I've never met a teacher who's like, I hate my job, I do it for a paycheck. Never. I've never met a teacher like that.
It's definitely not a job I think you could do without wanting to like be helpful, because of so many things. Like it's definitely like a heavy job, because you'll obviously like have students who like need extra support and all that, and I think that could carry with you a lot, but also you wouldn't be there if you don't love it. And I know that there's a lot of teachers who get burnt out, and that's a very real thing, with how schools are oriented and how the amount of work and pressure that are put on teachers. But I think that every teacher goes in it with so much passion and love, and that's definitely where I've wanted to be a teacher since I was a kid. And where I've wanted to teach and what I've wanted to do has definitely evolved. When I was younger, I wanted to teach younger kids. Do not want to do that anymore. Nothing against them, but like I was helping my kindergarten teacher one day, and a kid came up to her and asked for her to tie their shoes, and she goes, "Yeah, why are your laces wet?" And the kid responded, "I don't know, that happened after I went to the bathroom." And I was like, nope.
It's not for everyone.
Like, I love, like, I babysit, like, I love children, I think that kids are so wickedly smart and underrated for how smart they are and how much they do obtain. But yeah, I think I'm better suited for the older age. So after I realized that, I wanted to go into math for a while, because I was really good at math. And then I took pre-calculus, and it kind of sucked my soul out a little bit. I really struggled in that class. And it was one of the things where, like, the teacher I had, I loved. I babysit his kids. Okay. He just not personally, the way that he taught was personally not how I learned. And so I struggled a lot in that class. But some people have taken that class and been like, I did great. I learned really well from him. So personally, it was just not how I learned. And I think that kind of beat my spirit a little bit, because in high school specifically, I was so like driven on academic validation, and I was struggling so much in that class. Like I would spend hours on my like studying for exams and stuff to get like a 70, which was a little tough for me. Yeah,
it's definitely discouraging.
And I think like at that time that I was taking those classes, I also fell more in love with English, and that has really driven me all throughout like my college experience and the rest of high school.
That's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
So you were the CAB secretary last year, the Campus Activities Board. Was this, well, two things. Why did you make that decision to go into that position? And secondly, was this your first position as someone, I want to say, with a strong presence on campus and in campus operations? Or was this your first kind of position?
Yeah, so my freshman year I started as a general member of CAB. So that's like, you have to go to one event a week, you have to go to the meetings. I was on the social media board, so I filmed skits with like Hunter Day, we filmed all the skits and posted them on the stories for advertisement of the events. More in the spring semester, I really got more involved. I got to know Thomas Kehoe, who at the time was running CAB, better, and he really wanted me to go for either the deputy secretary or the secretary position. And I was very hesitant. I was like, I don't think I can do this. I don't think that I'll be good, like whatever. I doubt myself a lot. And it was actually Perry Raguzes, who was the SGA president at the time. I miss Perry so much. He was a great guy. Not bullied me into it, but kind of bullied me into it.
Okay.
There was like the application papers were almost due. Yes, and I was in Haskell Hall, and he was the RA on duty that night, and he was like, Aurelia, do you have your application to be secretary of CAB? And I was like, no, I don't think I'm gonna do it, and like I don't have enough signatures, like it's due soon. And he's like, there's 10 people in the office right now, you can get 10 signatures right now, like go grab it. And I was like, oh, I don't have time because I have to go change and then come back here before 11. And he's like, no, you have time. No, just go do it. And
Persistence.
I did it, and it was a lot, and it's a very hard job. Like, doing it is like so much more than I think you realize. It really does consume a lot of your life.
What duties were?
So you're a part of Congress, so you have Congress meetings, and then as a secretary on Congress, you are also a part of the e-board. So you have to go to the Congress meetings and the e-board meetings. Congress meetings are every week. E-board is probably every other week. You also run your own meetings. So you run the CAB meetings. So you have to create the agenda and run those. And then there's 3 events every week, which you have to go to every single one of them and run them and
so
plan them.
Very intensive.
Yeah, so very like work intensive, but I think the payoff really was there. I loved it as much as it drained me. I really did love it. I don't think it's the best fit for me, because I think that having activities on campus is so important, because like having things for people to do, like an engaged campus, like just really does help students. Like even if there's an event where only 5 students go, like those 5 students had a good time and they had something to do that night that maybe they weren't going to have anything to do other than that.
100%.
So I'm very passionate about keeping activities on campus. I'm not necessarily as passionate about the activities. Like I like planning them and I like that they happen, but they're just not my cup of tea. You know, so I was very passionate in planning them and making sure that everything ran very smoothly. They're just not where I have the most fun. And I think that the person we have running it now, Owen Duffy, he was my deputy secretary last year, and I could just tell, like, it's going to be a lot of work, and I'm going to have to support him through it, but he is so passionate about it, and he has so much fun with it, and I just know, like, he is better at that job than I ever could be, because he just loves it so much more. Like, I think that we bring very different things to the table of doing that job, and I think that just his genuine passion for it just automatically makes him better than I ever could be. And that's just like recognizing that, I think, is really important. I think that I did a good job, but I think that he just is going to be so great, and it is already doing great. I think that like this year, attendance at events has been better than it ever was last year. I think that he's working so hard for that, and I'm so happy that things are running the way they are. When it comes to being president, I love what I do. I really do. I get to plan like projects, which I love like that. I get to have my hand in kind of everyone's projects, depending on how much support they want. I definitely go through and I ask every member of my board, like, if you're working on things, do you want me to be more hands-on? Do you want me to be hands-off? Like, what does support look like best for you? I think that being supportive is a thing that I'm very good at. And helping out when help is needed. That's a big role in being the president, and also just being a person that people feel comfortable turning to talk to is also very important. I love talking to people. I can talk to people all day long. So, and I really, again, didn't feel like I was suited for this position last year when applications came around, and Zach Durr, shout out Zach Durr, was like, I love Zach. I still talk to him like often and call him for advice. And Thomas Kehoe, they both were like, you can do it. Like, and I talked to Thomas a lot about it because he was in this position last year. Like, he was the president. So I talked to him a lot about like what he does and how he handles like everything. And he was really great in helping me, like, and supporting me in that way of like telling me what my responsibilities actually would be. And Zach was there just being like, no, you can do it. Like, I know you. Like, I don't want to see anyone else in this role. Like, I want it to be you. Like, he was so supportive and pushed me into feeling comfortable enough, like, to do it. And I needed that push because, again, like, I really do love what I'm doing now. I love, like, working on bigger projects and, like, I really like it. I love, like, being able to, I'm kind of a control freak when it comes to certain things, so I also like having that
Makes sense,
control.
you're the president.
But I don't know, like, again, I love doing the projects. I love hearing everyone's opinion. Like, I get to talk to my board members so much and hear about their great ideas, and like, truly, without them, I'm nothing. And like I full-heartedly believe that. Like, I could have a budget and just me, and even though I could have all the money in the world, like, I'd probably get nothing done. They hold me up. Like, they are the reason that I'm able to do.
Well, passion creates motivation, not output or outcome. We just did something like this in my management class. We watched a video, and studies show by sociologist, economist, and what else was it? I forget. There was one other group that did a test, but they found that when you upped the price or the salary of a position and a task, that did not get improved productivity. Autonomy did. When the bosses stepped back and said, "Do what you want, no instructions," that's when genuine results came. Mm-hmm. You know, passion creates motivation, not incentive, and people don't understand that.
Like, even over the summer when I was just, like, planning when our meetings are going to be, like, doing very bare minimum stuff, I was getting so excited because the people who had been elected to be on the board already were reaching out and be like, I already have ideas of what I want to do, and I'm so excited to get started, and that, like, makes me excited. Like, I could not have a better group of people on my board because they are just all so passionate about
So you don't miss the position. You don't miss being cab secretary. It seems like, because that was one of the questions, but it seems like you answered it.
No, I don't. Sometimes I do, just because there are fun aspects and good aspects of any position. Like, there's a conference that as the secretary of cab you go to called ABCA, and it's when we book performers and, like, find the people we bring to campus. So
that's awesome.
It's like a 3-day thing. It's very exhausting. The one that they just went to is in Albany, and then in the spring they'll be going to Hershey.
Oh, that's sick, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I went to both of those last year, and for how tiring it was in the moment, like, I really did have a lot of fun. And also the CAB, like, secretaries of campus activities from the other VTSU campuses also go. It's just a time to, like, interact with them, and I've created so many positive relationships with people from other campuses through that. So I miss that aspect of it, but yeah, I don't think that I don't think it's the best position for me, you know, so I am very comfortable with who is running it now.
Well, from what you're saying, it seems like you had a pretty smooth transition from CAB president to SGA president, and that happened this fall, right?
Yep.
Okay. And then it seems like, what give me like 2 or 3 of your highest priorities, because it seems like you do prioritize the students very well.
I try to. That's, like, what I want to do, is make people's lives on this campus better, because what am I doing if I'm not? Like, I'm here for them.
That's a good point.
So an idea that actually is, like, very quickly wrapping up, and, like, we're finishing up. A delegate, Sammy Hayward, and I were working on a project of getting food pantries in every dorm building. And that was an idea that I got from, actually, Ellis Hall just started one. I knew that from last year. I was in Ellis a lot, like, visiting friends. And they just had a food pantry down there that was student started and run. And this year I got inspiration from that. I was like, that is such a good idea, especially, like, we're working out issues with Hewden right now. We're trying our best to do that stuff. I promise it is being tried to be handled.
Don't worry. But everyone sees that. Yeah. Like, the SAC meeting the other day, everyone was talking about it. It's very recognized, your efforts there. Very recognized.
I appreciate that. But obviously, like, that's taking a while, and students need access to food. So I think that at least starting food pantries in every building and having options, like, yes, there will be pasta, but there will be gluten-free pasta as well, like, for dietary restrictions. I think that's so important. Students, like, food insecurity is such a big issue that I think that people don't recognize, they recognize it, but then nothing is really done about it. So I'm very excited to be doing this and, like, at least do something for people. I think that just students' access to supplies is a big focus this semester. Our Secretary of Community Relations, Quan Johnson, is working on wellness carts that will be going in all of the dorm buildings as well, that will have things like shampoo, conditioner, like any sort of like things like toothbrushes, toothpaste,
okay. Quality of life goods.
Yeah, like just quality of life, things that are honestly so expensive for how essential they are. Because, like, if you 100%. Don't feel comfortable with yourself, like, if you don't have the money to buy, like, body wash and, like, shampoo and conditioner, like, that affects your quality of life because you're definitely feeling that on yourself. Like, and I don't know, I personally would be, like, conscious of, like, how other people perceive me if I'm not able to properly clean myself and stuff like that. So I think that just being able to provide is so important. We have the money to do it right now. Like, we're in a decent spot. We want to do improvements to the gym. I know that is like, we have a lot of student athletes on this campus who use the gym a lot.
You mean shape? The actual weight room?
Like the actual like
public
weight room.
Oh, okay,
and all
okay.
That. Yeah. So we want to make improvements there. That's something that Evan is working on. Evan worked very hard to start Safe Ride up again. That's another, like, I think that drunk driving is a huge issue on this campus.
100%.
So I personally know people who have admitted to me that they drunk drive, and I'm like, that is not okay. Like, that is not, like, call anyone. Like, call anyone else besides driving yourself. So I think that getting Safe Ride up and running again was a major, major thing on his behalf that he did, and I'm so happy that that's going. But just, yeah.
My concern with that is it just seems like if you know you're going to drink and you even bring the cart, it seems to me beforehand you've made your decision. Mm-hmm. You know, it seems common sense would permit, if you know you're going to get piss drunk to the point you can't walk and you still bring your car there and then you and all your buddies drink, you know, there's no plausible deniability, you know, you knew. And I agree, I think that's huge on a college campus. Huge. And, I mean, I guess kind of that'll pop up again in my next series of questions here. You're an RA. Mm-hmm. Is this your first year as an RA?
Yes.
Okay. So, as an RA, do you enjoy it?
I really do. And I think that the things that go along with being an RA are just things that I personally enjoy. Like, growing up, I helped my teachers make their bulletin boards for the classroom. And, like, I love doing crafts and, like, making door decks. And it's just, like, crafty stuff. I like that. I like interacting with people. So, really, like, there are hard parts of the job, obviously. But I really enjoy it. And I think that if you are someone who does enjoy those things, that you absolutely should become an RA. Like, I think it's such a great opportunity. I think you learn so much and have so much, like, emotional and, like, personal growth through being an RA with what you handle. I wanted to apply to be an RA, like, my freshman year to be an RA my sophomore year, but I just didn't feel like my personal growth was there enough to, like, where I would feel confident, like, writing someone up if I need to and, like, handling a, like, situation. I didn't feel like I was ready, and last year, I think through running CAB definitely helped that. I felt more confident, like, being in charge. And I felt ready to be an RA, and I really like it. I live in Hoff on the 3rd floor, so that's, you know...
That's a tough break. That's a tough break.
It can be tough sometimes, but I think that it is so worth it, like, in my eyes.
Well, this is a two-parter then. Mm-hmm. What is, you'd say, the easiest part for you? Well, it seems the easiest part for you is the like, interpersonal skills and the crafts. Mm-hmm. You've established that.
Yeah.
What is some of the toughest stuff for you and one of the hardest situations? And let me preface, I'm not asking for you to drop names. People make mistakes. I'm not asking for specifics. But what has been some of the hardest situations for you to handle, you know, as... Because it is genuinely a very important position. And I am applying for spring. Mm-hmm. And I was looking at some of they send you the questions beforehand. Mm-hmm. And it's real. It's really, and I didn't realize that last year. it is one of the most important. It's probably debatably as important, if not more important, than public safety. The RAs, a good RA versus a bad RA can make or break people's college experience.
Yeah.
So what do you you think is gonna challenges you?
Definitely setting the boundaries with the residents that you have of like, yes, you want to have a good relationship with them, but know that like if they get caught drinking and stuff, like I will write you up. Like it is my job. I will do it. It's gonna suck for both of us. I really, like you as a person, but it's my job. I have to do it. So that aspect of setting those boundaries and letting people know like, yes, I do want you to come to me. Yes, I do like want you to interact with me and be friendly with me is one thing, but like don't show up to the RA office like shit-faced and be like, I'm so drunk right now. Like I have to write you up for that. I know you're not 21. So stuff like that. But I'd say that the hardest thing I've personally had to deal with is I had to do a wellness check on a student. That was just mentally difficult. I struggle a lot with like mental health, so just like seeing that was hard and like processing it was difficult, but overall like I'm glad I got that experience. Like I don't think that there's any experiences that I've had as an RA where I like look back and I'm not grateful that I've had to deal with that, because I think that each thing that you have to deal with just makes you mature as a person. But yeah, that was just in the moment tough mentally, but it's beneficial and it needs to get done, and I'm glad I.
That's something I'm nervous about, like you said, is I know how my friends have acted in the past, and I was looking through some of the questions, and I kind of just told myself, rules are set in stone, not clay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, they're there for a reason. And that's the biggest thing is, without giving away specifics, I didn't get in trouble, but like I got warned by them for something, and I talked to them, and it's like, you have to enforce it's there, whether or not it's morally right, whether or not it's, necessary, whether or not it even makes the difference, is out of the question. As a federally funded college, there's so many more restrictions, and I don't think kids understand. You really screw everyone if it comes out, if they do a study or they do a report and it's like, wow, VTSU Castleton is tweaking out and
not following any of the rules.
No, none of the federal guidelines at all.
Yeah.
You hurt the college. It's not just you hurt, and it's hard to put that into perspective because it's like, what difference does it make if I drink? What difference does it make if I go out and party with my friends and get so drunk and drive back and, drive drunk? And it's like, guy, you crash into someone in town who's a local and you kill them, like, that is monumentally terrible for public image, for the entire college, for all, 4,000 or 5,000 students, for everybody. And I think it's hard for, like I said earlier, it's hard, like, we were talking about 12 and 13-year-olds, but even this age, it's hard for kids to put that into perspective. We're still young. I still think there's a lot of immaturity here, and that's why I said, you guys as RAs, and hopefully us soon. Hopefully it's an us soon. But, it's such an important position. And it's tough. It's a lot tougher than I realized. Yeah. But, I definitely do have a respect. My freshman year, I lived in Morrill. I had Ryan Doherty. I don't know if you ever knew him, but I loved my freshman year RA. I thought he was great. I think he definitely helped me enjoy my freshman year a lot. And, seeing that is kind of part of the reason I wanted to apply, because, like I said, it can really make or break.
Oh, absolutely. My freshman year, I've lived in Hoff all 3 years. So I willingly lived there. Well, my freshman year I just got placed there. And then my roommate and I decided to room together again and just move into Hoff again because the rooms are big. We didn't want to live in a suite. But then just for some practical joke, I got placed in Hoff as an RA. So I haven't experienced any other light. But yeah, I've never lived anywhere else on campus. But Hoff is a majority, like, athlete and freshman building. There's a lot of freshmen. Like, freshman move-in day, we had a lot of people. And, like, especially with the freshmen, like, this is their first time for a majority of them, like, living away from their parents. And, like, creating, like, they're, a lot of them are having freedom for the first time, in a sense. Like, college does give you a lot more freedom than you possibly, like, have experienced before. So being like, it's okay to make a mistake, like, but there is, like, you still have to keep that structure. If there was no structure, like,
yeah,
things would go everywhere. It would be a crazy world. So it's also, like, so important as an RA to be able to separate from when you're on duty to when you're not. Like, they tell you in training, obviously, like, you're an RA, so you should really be following the rules, even if you're not, but, like, they tell you in training, if, like, you are doing something and you run into a situation where someone is, like, you catch someone smoking or, like, something like that, and you are not in the proper mindset to be doing RA activities, call someone else, like, and pass it off, because, like, will make things worse if you try to handle it when
if you're drunk,
like,
trying to handle
like,
someone
if you are,
smoking,
like, if you're, like, drunk and you're trying to handle a situation,
high, trying to handle
like,
someone else doing,
so they're, like, I think that the RDs are, like, great as well, and so I think, like, you just really have to separate, like, from when you're on duty to when you're off duty. Like, when you're off duty, like, you're a student, like, here. Like, you're always a student here, like, even when you're on duty, but, like, obviously, but just being like, yeah, I'm not on duty, like, my RA hat does not have to be on right now. And there will be times where it does, even when you're not on duty. I've had people come to knock on my door because they locked themselves out of their room, and that's an easy fix. Like, I can easily help with that. Or someone, like, must have dropped their ID and someone else turned it in to me. I wasn't on duty, but I'm obviously still going to handle that because someone's missing their ID, like, things like that. But yeah, I have caught people smoking when I wasn't on duty. I called Davin. He was on duty that night, and I called him. I'm like, I'm so sorry to tell you this, but you're gonna have to handle this situation that I just, like, ran into. I am not on duty, and
not
your turn. Not my paperwork to do. No. Like, love you. Sorry to do this to you, but I'm leaving the building. Have a great night.
It's like, I don't tell people, and, you know, I'm not. And I put this in my thing, I'm not anti-marijuana by any means. I would even say I'm pro. And, you know, I'm not anti-alcohol. But a lot of people aren't ready. You know, you're in high school, you live with your parents over summer, and then you're dropped off one day. And then it's like, now you're just an adult. In a span of 24 hours, you go from being a not self-sufficient child to a self-sufficient adult. And I know when I was a freshman, that really spooked me. And I, you know, a lot of people do things like Upward Bound and other things where they get experience, which I think is great. Mm-hmm. But 90% of people don't. Yeah. So especially, like you said, you're in a dorm where it's mostly freshmen. Like, that's a weird dynamic that's created, where it's like, here's 100 kids in their first 48 hours of living without their parents. Yeah. So it's not. I'm never gonna tell people don't drink. I'm never going to tell you don't smoke. I'm going to tell you don't be an idiot. Don't get so plastered that you can't function, and then it becomes an RA's moral responsibility to make sure you go to the hospital. Yeah. Don't be, you know, so high off of, you know, marijuana bud that the dorm fucking reeks. Like, yeah. And that's just these things are just inconsiderate to the people around you. Mm-hmm. And then you sort of put your RA in a box, and then it becomes like, you know, and I'm not going to say every single report of an RA is necessary, but again, the rules are set in stone, not clay. Mm-hmm. And you need, I think kids kind of need to realize that. And I mean, I've DD'd many times for people, I won't lie, and we're not, the wrestlers, I'm on the wrestling team, we're not really big into that. Coach Legacy, our head coach, is really big on instilling values of, call it splitting hairs, you know, doing things like every little step of your lifestyle contributes to your athletic performance. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's one of those things where, like, I see these people, and it's like they don't have a sport to prep for, and it's like, that's fine. You don't have to be an athlete, but you still have to be intelligent. Even if you don't have a sport to lose, like, it's your safety, man. People forget when you get that drunk, you don't know. How often do you really know that many people at a party? There's some parties, there's 200-300 people. You know 30 of them. Okay, awesome. You're with your 30 buds or whatever. You're with your pack. That's 270 strangers you don't know around you when you're in a state where you're vulnerable. And I hate to put it like that, but it's a really scary thing for me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have kids someday. Like, sexual assault's a real thing. Mugging is a real thing. Murder is a real thing. And I just try to tell people, like, you really, really have to account for that.
Yeah, absolutely. My dad, like, growing up, even when I was younger and probably too young to fully comprehend what he was saying, he would tell me, like, when you go to college, never let anyone touch your drink. Like, never leave it unattended. Like, never, like... And I'm so glad that he did that, like, especially at such a young age. Like, it's really been drilled into my mind. But what a sad, like, world that we live in where that is, like... I was, like, 10 years old and my dad's telling me stuff like that. Like, but
that's a necessary...
It's like such a necessary thing, and like I'm so like happy that he like loves me and like wants to protect me and like enough to like tell me these things.
And that couldn't have been easy either for him to look at his daughter and say that. I think about that all the time if I have a daughter. That's not an easy conversation by any means. It's not. But it's a real one.
Yeah. I'm fortunate to just have like the best parents ever. But yeah, he definitely was like talking about that from a very young, like I was very young when he would start saying stuff like that. And yeah, I'm glad that he did. I think that he definitely came at it from a sense of like wanting to protect his daughters. Like he has 3, so he's got a lot of worrying to do, I guess. But yeah, I mean those things that he taught me from a young age like are in my brain, and I will never be dumb enough to like, I hate to say like not dumb, but like in the world that we live in, you really have to protect yourself, like in a sense. Yeah.
Aware. It's
aware
awareness,
of your surroundings,
really.
Yeah, and I definitely try to be extra aware.
And a lot of that's kind of like the not me mentality, and I tell people like it's weird to me because when you look at the statistics and you look at the facts, like it's just the not me mentality doesn't make sense. If the not me mentality was applicable, nothing would ever happen. Nothing would ever happen if that was truly applicable.
And it could very easily be you is like the issue, I think. Like yeah, it is hard to understand things when you have no personal experience with it or have no friends that have personal experience with it. Like, I'll never deny that. It is hard to, like, understand topics that you just have had no experience with. But we live in a world where it just so easily could be you, in a sense, like, which is, again, sad. And I think that there are so many great things about growing up now, but there's also so many negatives. And that's just how the world works. Like, there's always going to be pros and cons of, like, situations and environments and things like that. But, yeah, it very easily could be you, and I think that that's something that everyone should keep in mind. Like, what if things were different? What if this was you? Like, have the empathy that you would want someone else to have for you.
100%. Like, and I think a lot of that also is, the stats show that a lot of sexual assaults are on women. They're not on men. But I tell men all the time, like, you're very foolish to think that this doesn't apply to you. Because I noticed during a lot of presentations and things like this, the mentality is that this kind of stuff is for the girls. This kind of presentation is to keep the girls safe. And I'm like, no, this is for us. There are people that would, and I mean, again, it's not a fun, I mean, this got dark quick, I'm sorry, but again, it's real, like, as someone who works on a college campus and I want to be an RA, these are things you have to address. Like, things happen to men a lot, and also, I think people are far more trusting of women because statistically most perpetrators are men. And I tell guys, like, if you say no and a woman still has relations with you, that's equally as immoral. There's no barrier. She, like, you know what I'm saying? And I think it's interpreted differently, and I try to instill that in men are just as susceptible. You can bench 400 pounds and be the star, offensive lineman on the football team. When you drink 30 beers and you're stumbling around, that's gone. The playing field is level. That all that stuff that made you feel safe before, your guard is down. You dropped your shield. Now you have to be aware. Now you have to be intelligent, and you still have a right to say no. And and I think that we need to instill that, especially in men who do sports, especially.
Absolutely. I think that, like, the topic of mental health and any sort of, like, assault or issues like that is, like, it is mostly talked about women, and I do understand that to a sense, because it does just, like, statistically happen to women more, but there's, like, what about, like, the men who are listening to you present this, who have gone through something like that, and now feel like their feelings are not valid because you're only speaking about the women? Like, it needs to be normalized that, like, men do go through this stuff too. They have mental health issues, and that does not make you any less of a man. Like, I think that the stereotypical, like, manly man, like, people still thrive for that, and having any sort of, like issue with anything, I think, is there's such a negative connotation around that happening to men, because, like, oh, I'm not a man if this, like, you are. Like, if anything, I think that being able to, like, express and, like, talk about things that you've been through makes you more of a man. Like, it's
Absolutely.
just, like, but I do think that it's such an important topic to bring up, like, both sides of it. Like, yes, this happens to women, and it's a horrible thing that it happens to so many women, but it does also happen to men.
And it's stigmatized.
And it's stigmatized, and not talking about it is making it so much worse.
That just feeds
like,
the stigma.
Like, it really does make it so much worse to not talk about
That's
it.
kind of something that makes me proud to be a Castleton wrestler, is that we've recently, like, as a team, you know, even without our coaching staff around, like, as guys, we've been having, a lot of our guys have had different personal stuff going on, and we had, you know, one day, our coaches and our captains, you know, everybody was leveling. I don't remember if we had 2 talks. I don't remember which it was. One was with the coaches, one was without. But this captain, and, you know, I'll say his name, Evan Day, I have so much respect for him as a man. He leveled with everyone. And I won't say names, obviously, or who raised their hand, but he said, all right, guys, even if I'm not speaking from total experience, everyone here loves each other and trusts each other. You know, everyone raise your hand if you know someone in your family who's had mental health issues. And then we, you know, the hands went up, hands went down. Everyone, and then he goes, people here, as in yourself, raise your hand if you've had those issues. And he said, never ever hesitate to text me. I will never think you're a bitch. I will never criticize you, even if it's not that serious. I will not criticize you. I would much rather you come to me than bottle things up. And that's something, like, you know, recently I don't want to say I wasn't having a mental health crisis, but I was having a moment and I was crying. And I had 2 captains come in and talk to me. And that to me was huge, you know? And I mean, like, in such a sport that's plagued by toxic masculinity, like MMA and wrestling and, you know, even football to a degree and things in that realm, to see that on a team like us, where we're a top 10 wrestling team, to see that that's the general consensus, to know that, like, if I ever did, and, you know, God forbid, if I ever hit a point where I was like, I'm going to take my life, knowing that there's men I could go to and I could have that conversation with is huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. And I don't think enough people, you know, and I tell people, I don't think the rejection of feelings is a masculine trait. I believe the acceptance of feelings, and I will openly admit, I think I've cried probably 2-3 times in the last few weeks, and, you know, it does hurt my pride to say that openly and, you know, post it, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
And I don't feel that as a man, I don't feel that my acceptance and my reveling in my feelings is a rejection of masculinity. I don't think they're mutually exclusive by any means, you know what I mean? And I think that feeds into what you were saying about how when men hear that, it invalidates their feelings.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have many male friends, and I think that some of my favorite moments with them are moments when they do kind of open up. Like, I think that women, when you become close, like, you just open up, like, so fast, and you'll talk about anything, and, like, what you're struggling with, and, like, all this stuff just, like, pours out very not super easily. Like, they're obviously, everyone is different, and, like, takes their own time to do things, but in a more easy sense, where with my male friends, like, you gotta like, chip away a little bit. But, like, some of my favorite moments are when I'll, like, be hanging out with them, and they'll open up to me, and just, like, it's so, like, just amazing to see people express. Like, I just love seeing people express their emotions and being themselves, and like, issues are very real. Like, and bottling them isn't going to do anything to help. I love helping people and talking to people and trying to work through things with them. So, I don't know. Those have definitely been my favorite experiences, like with some of my friends. It's just the moments where we're vulnerable and honest with each other.
I really, really, I think that's huge, especially for you as an RA and someone, I don't want to say in a position of power, but with great prominence on our campus as SGA President. I think those values and that kind of mindset is very productive as opposed to traditional mindsets. I think, and again, like, I don't mean to get political, but the word progressive sometimes has a bad annotation. But to me, I just don't see how you can, I don't see how you can label that as woke, especially when you look at male suicide stats.
Yeah.
I don't see how you can reasonably, because then my response is the only answer to bottle it up until you either become the kind of person that beats their wife and kids or kills yourself? Are those the only options we have? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
become a monster of who you used to be?
Yeah.
A bastard. Look, this might be extreme, but I mean, this is what it is. Would you rather bastardize your soul or kill yourself? Or, the third option, just talk to someone.
Mm-hmm.
Just level. And I don't necessarily trust therapists, I'll be honest. I think it's a profession where you get paid to say things people want to hear. And I mean, I'm not saying therapists are bad, but a lot of them are professional gaslighters. And I'd hate to say it like that. That's your job. So it seems, even if what they're telling you is true, a lot of people think it's inauthentic because it's coming from a therapist. But if you, and I think men hide it because they're afraid if I come out, he's going to be like, oh man, you're gay, you have feelings. But it's like, I don't think they understand how many other men hold that same sentiment. If you just came out with it, and then to me it's like you come out with it, and let's say your friend is like, oh dude, you're gay, I don't want to hear that. Now you know he's not your friend. Find someone else who will.
Mm-hmm.
There are people in this world. Who will sit there and talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's a woman,
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a man, and that's the thing men don't understand. That's not feminine at all.
Yeah.
Just because even if they're a feminine person, that's not a feminine ideology, loving yourself, embracing yourself, not shaming yourself for your weight, not shaming yourself for your skin color, not shaming yourself for your sexuality. Mm-hmm. These are good things.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll have to disagree with you on the therapy thing. Very pro therapy. I think that everyone could benefit from therapy. I personally am in therapy. I did it very this is my third therapist that I've had. My first two, I think they enabled me a little bit. I have Stacy in the wellness center, and she clocks my shit. She calls me out. She's like, nope, stop avoiding this. Like, this is obviously an issue.
So you do recommend Stacy?
I recommend, she's great. I love her. One of my other friends has her as well.
You want to just say where her office is for VTSU Castleton students listening?
Yeah, so for VTSU Castleton students, if you go to her office is in the wellness center, but you can just go to the wellness center and sign up for sessions.
That's in the top floor of Campus Center, correct?
Yes, top floor of Campus Center. Go to the wellness center, and her office is in there. They're great about signing you up, and they're also great about is this a weekly thing you want to do? Is it every other week? What would serve best for you? So even though for a while I didn't go, I was still pro everyone should go to therapy, and my friends would be like, girl, you don't go to therapy. And I'm like, I know, I'm sorry. But I think even if it's a one-time session, I think that everyone has stuff they sometimes just need to get off their chest. And having someone who is literally paid to listen to you, but one of my friends, he went to therapy. He went with Duncan. Duncan left, unfortunately. He is no longer a counselor here. I know a lot of people who went to him that really loved him. But he was the only male counselor, and we don't have currently any male counselors here. And it's being a therapist is such a female-dominated field, and I would love to see that change. Same with education.
I was just going to say, just like teachers.
Any field that is very high in, emotion, leading, is typically very female-dominated, and I would love to see that change. because of situations like this. Like, he was like, I have nothing against, like, talking to a woman. I just would feel more comfortable being open with another man about, like, I think that I have a lot of male-dominated issues, and I would prefer and feel more comfortable talking to a man. And, like, that's something, like, I then, as SGA president, like, put my little SGA president hat on, went to the wellness center, I was like, what do you think, like, the possibility of getting a male counselor is? And it's just, again, a very female-dominated field.
You gotta
they
find
haven't,
one.
Yeah, they haven't found one, and they were like, we would love to have a male, like, counselor here. We, like, would love to have that option, but it's just, none of our applicants happen to be men. Like, it's just how it's working. So, I think that, like, having male representation in, like, more emotionally dominated fields is so important. Like, so important.
That's a really, I really agree. I think that, sorry, it took me a second, but I agree. I think that, I think it also creates a kind of situation where it's the same reason we're seeing more diversity. Is I don't know if it's inspiring is the term, but it's very, very important that young men see male teachers and they see, male therapists, and they see males with a feminine side. And I think it's very important. And again, I'm not saying the argument comes when they kind of people imply that that's trying to take over. I'm not saying every therapist needs to be male or every teacher, but it is so important to have that exposure.
Yeah.
And I think at VTSU Castleton we do that really well, man. So many, and I think college in general, I noticed there's so many more male professors or male nurses or males working on college campuses than in high school campuses.
Yeah.
Every elementary and high school nurse I saw when I would be in other schools for sports events or in my schools, they were always female. I never saw a male. I never saw a male secretary working in the front office. And I think when you're only exposed to, I don't know how to phrase it, when you're exposed to a kind of institutional guideline of what a position's supposed to be, you start to believe it.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, if you want to be a nurse at an elementary school and you are a male, go do that. If you want to be a therapist and you are a male, go do it, And I'm trying to think of male-dominated fields, but if you're a female and you want to go into engineering, which I think is, mostly, I think it's like 60-something or something like that, mostly males, go do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that there's, like, for years, like, since I was younger, there's been,
We good on time?
Yeah,
okay.
I have, like, 15 minutes until I have to be somewhere else, but, yeah, I think, like, growing up, a lot of what I saw was, like, oh, women can do anything, like, they can go into these STEM fields, and they can go into these male-dominated fields. I would really love to see that kind of thing for, like, vice versa. Like, it's not, like, any less strong to be a elementary school teacher than it is to be some, like, scientist, Like, those are important jobs. Like,
necessary.
Like, it's so necessary.
Very
and
necessary.
I think, like, the push to have women in, like, male-dominated fields is so important because, obviously, like, that idea of, women can do anything and women power, like, it's so beautiful, so important. But the same thing needs to go for men. It's not weak to go and be a therapist. It's not weak to be a teacher. It's like not weak to be a nurse. Like
no shame in any
profession.
And it's and this is something Justice said in last episode is, a functioning society needs a janitor.
Yeah,
you have to have every role filled.
Mm-hmm. I have like grown up on the idea that like no matter what your job is, no other job in the world is like less important than the one that you are doing. 'Cause like I could be the president of like the United States, and if I go through a drive-through, I'm gonna be mad if no one's working to give me my food. Like that job is important. I want to eat the food.
That's a
good
point.
Their job is no less important than mine, because how many people are going to be mad if they can't get their food from McDonald's? A lot. Like, so, and it's my dad. He's just, what a great person he is. I love him so much. Rave about my dad. Shout out Eric Leerkes.
Shout out Eric Leerkes.
He's a teacher in a school now. He used to be a farmer, but he's a math teacher in a middle school and high school now. And he's like the best people to have a good relationship with. The custodians, the people who work in the lunchroom. Like, just like, they are no less than me as a teacher. And there's also like within teaching such this divide between like elementary and like high school teachers, and he's seen it a lot where like high school teachers think that they're so much better than the elementary school teachers, and they're like, they can never do what we do. I can never do what an elementary school teacher does.
That's a good point.
Like, I could, like, there are jobs, like, I personally could never do, and it's not anything against the job, it's just me as a person, like,
100%.
I just couldn't handle it. Like, so many props to people who work in elementary schools, like, I couldn't handle that. So many props to, like, people who work at McDonald's. I probably couldn't mentally handle that either. Like, shout out them. Like,
absolutely.
Like,
shout out the McDonald's workers. Shout
period.
out everyone. It's all
like,
necessary.
There are so many jobs that I just would not be able to handle, and, like, so many props to the people who can. Like, I just am a genuine believer that there is no one job that is more important than another. So.
No, I absolutely agree. Do you want to wrap it there?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Thank you guys so much. This has been D3, Dominici's Discussions and Debates with Aurelia. Sorry, I got it right in the beginning.
Yeah, you did.
Aurelia Leerkes, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully I'll see you very soon.